My name is Ed Smith Lewis, and I am the Executive Director of United Negro College Fund's Institute for Capacity Building, a team dedicated to cultivating a networked approach to HBCU improvement and transformation. While we have a mission to serve historically Black colleges and universities and align predominantly Black institutions, or PBIs, our vision seeks to improve outcomes and wealth creation for traditionally excluded populations. Since our founding in 1944, UNCF has held a belief that operating as a network should have a competitive advantage for the communities and institutions we support. Today, UNCF is a membership of 37 private Black colleges. However, our work and impact have led to raising more than $5 billion, positioning ourselves as the largest scholarship provider outside the federal government, and advocating for numerous federal, local, and institutional policies to improve student success. Our aspiration is to increase access and success for the more than 500,000, mostly Black, 75% Pell eligible, and 60% first generation students that walk our campuses each year. The Institute for Capacity Building, or ICB as we affectionately refer to it, was founded in 2006 as the brainchild of our current president and CEO, Dr. Michael Lomax. When he left his role as president of Dillard University, a historically Black college in New Orleans, Louisiana, he contended he was never short on ideas, just short on capacity to execute them. Consequently, now 15 years later, ICB has learned a lot about what it takes to drive network-based approaches to institutional improvement and transformation for historically under-resourced and undervalued institutions. We have also come to appreciate the importance of legacy, mission focus, and within community organizations for the impact on the people we say we care the most about. Today, our work not only prioritizes the adoption of promising practices, but seeks to elevate HBCUs as cornerstone institutions and vehicles of social justice, critical to closing gaps in outcomes, but also facilitating intergenerational social and economic mobility, and maybe, just maybe, liberation for all. So you might be asking, what do I have to contribute to today's discussion on the value of science, data, products, and use? I'm sure I'm preaching to the choir, and over the last couple of days have confirmed it when I say that data is the currency of the future. And while new advents in technology like cryptocurrency, blockchain, and the Internet of Things have caused a major splash and drawn enthusiasts who seek to disrupt the status quo, perhaps create more transparency and drive greater outcomes for all, they each pale in comparison to what big data could do and has done in terms of its critical role in the evolution of business, education, and culture. But is big data also driving inequality? Since Nikola Tesla predicted that humans would be able to access this huge amount of data in the future using a pocket-friendly device, data has not only fueled the 21st century, it is powering all the things that we do. Today, big data is one of the most talked about subjects in most enterprises. However, when you contrast this growth with income inequality in the US, as measured by the Gini coefficient, it is difficult not to ask, how can we use data to stop, if not address, persistent and worsening inequality in our society? For Black communities, big data represents a critical frontier that must be considered. Here at UNCF, we recognize that big data is a part of a long and pervasive legacy of systemic oppression. Whether it's limited access to data, training and support on its use, or the aggressive public policies that results from findings from our data on targeted communities, we know that we must first understand the implications and the questions that big data start with, if we are to ever affect change in our community. According to a group, according to the group Data for Black Lives, algorithms and other data technologies are the engines that have facilitated the ongoing evolution of systemic oppression in the US, from the prison industrial complex, justified militarization of schoolyards, and continued the expansion of contemporary practices of peonage. One of Data for Black Lives' signature programs is Abolish Big Data. It's ultimately a call to action to reject the concentration of big data in the hands of a few, to challenge the structures that allow big data to be wielded as a weapon of immense political influence. And to abolish big data would really mean to put data in the hands of the people that need it most. To be responsive, UNCF and our partners, Excellency in Education and the Coleridge Initiative, have come together to seek to catalyze a community of HBCUs and Hispanic serving institutions, HSIs, to leverage this big data. Our work is designed to accomplish two complementary objectives. First, provide HBCUs and HSIs and their faculty with guided training and capacity building to enable production of critical research with confidential microdata. And two, enhance the research capacity of HBCUs and SSIs to inform the advancement of Black and Brown populations, specifically in post secondary education across the college to career pipeline. We have grounded this work in five core principles we believe are critical to engaging new communities in data science and science more broadly. First, we have to consider access to all the resources necessary to do this kind of work effectively. From the funds, the systems, and the technology, we must think comprehensively about how we make these institutions and these communities aware of what's available to them. Two, we must buttress that access with ongoing support to build capacity and capability to ensure once they have the access, they're able to effectively utilize the value from that opportunity. Number three, that we have to depend on partnerships. Without partnerships, we not only risk uh, not being able to sustain the effort, but we know that communities that you can lean on, relationships that you build, become critical to not only staying connected and engaged, but deepening knowledge and understanding. Four, that it has to be community driven, that whatever agendas come out of this opportunity, that it must be driven by the communities we say we want to effectuate change in. And finally, that we prioritize acknowledgement that uplifts new narratives, builds on existing knowledge, and begins to shape counter narratives that facilitate a different outcome for the communities we say we care the most about. In short, we think as we set out to increase underserved community participation in science and big data specifically, that these five principles must undergird any new work that we do. With that, I'll pause and